Are you a business owner? What would happen to your business if you or one of your key employees could no longer come to work?
We're Shannon and Michael with Healthcare Genius, and we talk a lot about how to protect yourself while you're working and while in retirement. But we really want to talk today about what would happen to your business. So one of the reasons we wanted to talk about this now is that, Michael, you had a personal experience with a friend recently, and can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I had a good friend that was diagnosed with cancer and had been running his small business. All of a sudden found himself having to go through chemotherapy and different doctor visits and really could not spend, nor did he feel like spending a lot of time at the company. Now, fortunately, he did have a key person who was able to keep things going while he was on leave or while he was going to those appointments. Unfortunately, ultimately, he passed away because of the cancer. And once that happened, the business really just kind of went away because the employees could see the handwriting on the wall. So a number of them left. And that key person, there had never been anything in place for them to take over the business or even have the financial wherewithal to take over the company. So essentially that company just went by the wayside.
Sure. So in that scenario, what would an ideal, of course, that's the worst scenario possible, right? But what would the ideal situation have been for the company if he had set things up properly or in the best way?
Well, I think that the first thing as an owner is to really look at this and understand what are the ramifications of you not being there. And there's lots of things that can happen, right? I mean, sometimes the business gets taken out when you look at natural disasters, and there's definitely insurance to cover those types of events where, if you have flooding or a tornado wiped out your building, there's insurance that will continue to pay salaries for your employees, that'll continue to cover the overhead that you might have on that building, even though it's not there anymore. So there's those types of coverage, but I think what we see often is overlooked are the life and disability coverages that can really make a difference in a small business, specifically to keep that company going and really to keep the lifestyle of the family of the business owner going or the key person going.
Now, are there policies that are designed specifically for these situations, or is it just a matter of figuring out the appropriate amount, or how would a business owner kind of take a stab at it?
Well, I think you have to really look at the two scenarios. There's the disability scenario where you haven't passed away, but you can't come into work. So there are definitely coverages that will not only pay your income or what you're taking out of the business so that your family has income coming in, but also there are coverages under disability that will continue to pay the overhead of the business. So those are, on the disability side, those are two ways to make sure that things are covered. And then on the unfortunate side, like our friend where he passed away, life insurance is another option. But we don't necessarily look at just pure term life insurance. We like to look at life insurance with living benefits because we think that can really help with both scenarios where you have a serious illness and you haven't necessarily passed away, but it's serious enough that you might be able to access some or all of your death benefit from that term policy to, again, help cover the cost of the business, keep it going, or to provide for your lifestyle.
So for a lot of business owners, us being two of them, you may have a partner. So how does it really work if you have a partner in your business and there's joint ownership or joint responsibility and something happens to one person? How do you prepare for that?
That's a great question. When you have partnerships, a lot of times you'll have an agreement. And in some agreements, we saw this not too long ago with a company where they were required to redeem the stock of a disabled partner or a partner who passed away. Whether they had the funds to do that or not, they had to redeem that at a certain share price. So when you have partners, buy-sell insurance is really what we tend to look at as being a key factor that can help mitigate some of those obligations that might be in your agreements. Now, candidly, most people who are partners or have partnerships agreements, they may not have looked at them for 5 years. They may not even know what's in there. An attorney wrote it for them. They haven't looked at it. So the first thing you want to do is understand what your obligations are. to your partners in the event that they're either disabled or they pass away.
Right? If you're required to in some way purchase their ownership, you want to make sure you have the capital to do that.
That's right. And the other thing that a lot of times we've seen where a partner will pass away, the surviving partner may not want to be in partnership with the spouse. It's why you want to define the agreement, first of all. That's the first thing. And then once you've defined the agreement, you want to make sure that you have the wherewithal to be able to pay what those liabilities might be if something happens. Because remember, that partner is out. Somebody's probably having to fill in and do their job. So it isn't just the fact of continuing maybe to pay that partner, but then maybe you have to pay a new person that's in there. The other thing I want to point out too is a lot of companies, not so much with partners, but with key people, get into a situation where maybe a key person can't come into work. We saw this with an employer not too long ago. And they actually paid the entire salary for that employee for a year out of pocket, which was very admirable of them. But what they did by doing that is that they created a precedent where now if another employee couldn't work and was on disability and knew about it, then they've created this precedent where we're going to pay a year's worth of benefits for everybody that gets sick or disabled.
Yeah, it can be a pretty problematic scenario that was intended to be a generous one.
That's right. So you just want to make sure. So I think that the key is make sure you have an agreement and make sure you have funding. Term insurance is very inexpensive. So as long as you're healthy or you can qualify for it, it's a great way to help offset what those liabilities might be if you, a partner, a key person, can no longer work or pass away unexpectedly.
Lots of different options here. So if you want some help and you want to kind of navigate what those options are, or if you have something in place currently but just want a policy review, we're here to help. There is a link in our description below where you can apply to become a client of ours, and we'd love to walk you through what's best for you and your business.
Yeah, we've also created a link that you'll see that will allow you to just get an estimate of what costs are. We find that oftentimes people aren't really aware of what those costs might be. So if you click on that link, it'll allow you to put in some information and it'll give you an idea of what the cost for different amounts of insurance might be.
Thanks for watching this video. If you haven't already, check out some of our other videos that are geared specifically towards business owners. Go ahead and subscribe to our channel and make sure you click the notification bell so you know when we come out with new videos.